Manaso Devata Chandramaha Buddhe Brahma Ahankarasya Chandrudraha Chittasya Vasudevaha. So last time we had discussed the relationship of the Lord or the expression of the Lord itself. If you see, normally in the world, whenever you use the word God, Isvara, Lord, we localize these gods. That is why we generally think in the world God means he is localized, he or she or let it be anybody, they are localized in temples or somewhere. If you go by certain Puranas and all, they localize them in some other place called Vaikunta, Kailasa, some lokas here there. Thus, God is generally localized in a corner. So, if at all you want God, it looks like you have to go and see the God somewhere. That's why, if you want God, either you must go to the temple, or at least if you create a puja room, there you must go to see God. Thus, the God seems to be someone who can be localized and put in a corner conveniently. Understand? This is the concept that everybody has got, is a popular concept. That is why here we have discussed about God. As long as we keep God in this manner, it looks as though God is a person who decides to do what we should be. These are all the problems. That's why everybody asks a question, God, why you do like this to me? Why you have made me like this? Why you have made me like that? Why you are done like this? It looks as though God chooses to do things for all of us. And looks God is very partial. Some people he makes happy, some people unhappy, some people lot of problem, other people very nice, goody things. Like this we all have got an opinion like God. This is where the problem is. Such a God, how can we pray? Who is partial God? A partial God can never be a praying person. We cannot pray to such a God. And there is the problem of everybody, any theology, any philosophy, everybody thinks God means, that's why we all look up. God means what we do, we all look up. And everybody puts their hands up, God there. So understand itself, these are all only a concept of God. And reality, what is God? As a matter of fact, God alone is. There is nothing other than God. And it is only understood. It has to be understood. As long as we give a form to God, like photograph of Rama, Krishna everywhere, and they say God is everywhere, if they make a statement, we cannot swallow it. If Rama, Krishna or Ganesha or anybody is God, and this God is everywhere, we say, we look around and see, we don't see the God anywhere. If the God has got a form like you and me, if I turn I should see, and he is everywhere, if we say, why should we go to a temple to see him? He should be available at home for us to see. But that is not so. Then what is this contradictory statement? God is everywhere. And at the same time we have to go to a temple. And in the temple also, not everywhere, in a particular place you keep an idol and say, here is God. So this statement, God is everywhere, at the same time God is in a temple, total contradiction. It's a contradiction. That is where we must know. Till we come to the study of this truth about God, the knowledge about God, we are given an introduction to God. And the introduction to God that is given to us is in the form of these Puranas. All this history of Bhagavan is called Purana. His story is called history. We generally call history. You connected his story is called history. Of God is called in generally Purana. And in that Purana only we talk about God, what all He did, what He did, how He came, like Ramayana, Bhagavata, so many things we have got. There are a lot of things are told about God. And this God only we all popularly know. And through all these things we go to learn an introduction to God. Various things about God we come to know. But the reality, the truth of God is not made known to us. And if you want the reality of God to know, the place is called this Vedanta. There only it reveals what really is God. What really is God? That is why we have told you God is what? God is the cause for the whole creation. And that's why we said, if He is the cause for the creation, then we discussed about two types of causes. The material cause as well as the efficient cause. Indirectly, in our language, the maker and the material. In the world we saw the maker and the material are two distinct things. Simple example we gave, the pot maker and the material of which the pot is created. They are two distinct things. They are not one and the same. But when it comes to the creation, it is not so. Though we use the same terminology called creator, maker, everything we say. That's why we said here the maker and the material are one and the same. Since the maker and the material are one and the same, God cannot be isolated, located in a corner somewhere. Then where is God? As a matter of fact, everything is God. God is not in one place. But if we are associated with God with Rama, Krishna, and when we say God is everywhere, immediately we look for Rama or Krishna everywhere. Because we know God only like Rama or Krishna. So this God who is everywhere, if at all you want evident God there also, that God, that is why the God is the manifested form of this creation. And in this creation the God is manifest as what? Not only with everything, but the life of the creation is God. That is why He is in the form of cosmic forces. Any type of cosmic forces that are there is nothing but an expression of the God. Everything is expression of God only. Like even when you talk also it is you. When you walk also it is you. You write also it is you. Everything is your expression. Is it or not? Though each one is different. The force comes from you. Similarly, God remaining one, the various types of expressions that you see here, everything is the expression of the unseen God. Till we don't understand this, we have to have some form of God. For this purpose only we have got the various idols, various names, various things. We all do worship and other things. That's why that stage is only you are introduced, made familiar to this factor called God. Only problem is that people don't go beyond that, they remain there only. Nobody wants to know anything more than that. Because that seems to be more convenient. Whenever necessary, go to God. When not necessary, leave Him alone. That sort of thing goes on. That's why nobody pays attention or takes trouble of knowing what the God is. Only when you come to study this Adhyatma Jnanam, there we cannot just ignore that. That is also one of the topics that we have to discuss, as I said. Unless that is discussed, the knowledge is not complete. Every knowledge is complete only when you know everything about that knowledge. Otherwise the knowledge is not complete. That is why we discussed God in that manner, and the God being the truth everywhere, the God manifests in this world as the cosmic forces. Otherwise we call cosmic law. The cosmic law. This cosmic law, wherever there is a law is there, law is inert and mute. Like even you have got all these revenue laws, civic laws, various laws are available of the government. And these laws are laws written in a book, but if they have got to become living, there should be somebody behind it to make it living. Like policeman is the one who is taking care of the penal laws. If there is nobody, the law will not stop you. Traffic law, when it becomes living, when become police is there. Otherwise the traffic law seems to be dead. There is no traffic law at all. So policeman gives life to the law, traffic law, or any penal law, or revenue laws are there. They all become living only when those revenue inspectors or income tax, sales tax, all those people act, those law becomes completely alive. Similarly, all these cosmic forces that are there, they are all just mute laws. They all become expressed. So in our Shastra, they picturize certain people who control, like an income tax officer, a traffic controller. They are all the people, they bring the law to life. Based on this only, last time we have seen, for every function in this body, we saw like eyes, ears, everywhere, we find there is a Devata as though controlling. Hence another way we will say, eye is a Devata, ear is a Devata, nose is a Devata, tasting is a Devata, every function is a Devata. They are all Devas. Two meaning, because they are controllers of the functions, or they all have got light in them. They are all lighting up. Two meanings. Devata means where there is, that's why there is a light means, that's why when we put light, we call Deva. From there only Div, Divas, everything has come. From that word only. So in Sanskrit, Jyotanat Devaha. Jyotana means to shine, to be effulgent, to be lighting. So in the eyes there are light, in the ears there is light. And because of that you are able to hear, you are able to see. And when the light is gone, the current is gone, they become all dark. Means what happens? You don't see, you don't hear, nothing happens. So there is a total enlivening factor who lights up everything. That is called the absolute God, called Atma. But when the Atma manifested in a given function, the Atma gets the status called Devata. I gave the example of president. The president is the one who governs the entire country by the law. Any law is the president's law. But the same president's law only manifests in the form of policeman, in the form of postman, in the form of tax collector, revenue collector. Everybody is who? The president's law enforced, manifested, functioning. So the governors of this law we have seen last time of the sense organs, organs of actions and perception. Now we have got the function of the Antakaranam, the inner equipments, that is under discussion. We will see now. Now we have got in the Antakaranam four-folded function. We saw Manaha, Buddhi, Chittam, Ahankaram, four. Now for all of them, the Devata, one who governs them as though is being told. When you see your mind, it is called a relative, individual thing, Vyakti. Behind that there is a controlling Devata. But if it is the total mind, then the controller of that becomes the absolute Isvara. Understand? So relative, absolute. You must take that. We are discussing with the relative, we are not talking about the absolute. So absolute Devatas, everybody has got their own bosses. Policeman is the boss on the road, understand? But if he goes to a traffic police office, he has got his own boss. On the road he is the boss. But when he goes to the office, he has got his own boss. Similarly here the mind has got particularly a boss here. The mind is has got a Devata, a function. And for that mind function, Devata, another God is there beyond that. The absolute God is Bhagavan. Like an officer, his officer, then manager, general manager, managing director, like that you find always hierarchy keeps on, goes higher and higher. Thus we have to go to absolute God. All other people other than the absolute God, they all get the function, they are called as Devata. So in short, what is Devata? God seen from the standpoint of a function is called Devata. And the ruler of the Devatas is called Deva. Deva, Devata. Two different things we must always know. But each Devata becomes great when you want some job to be done from the Devata. Everybody is great when you want something to be done by the person, you say you are great. Is it or not? Though you may not be all that great. But still, because I want the job to be done by you, I have to say you are great, sir, you are great. So like that, every Devata is great as long as you want something to get done from them. That is why in the pujas and all they will say, if this thing you want, worship this Devata. If you want another thing, go to another Devata. That's why we got different gods. Like if you go to Sachivalaya or Mantralaya, whatever you call it, you find different Devatas, each one for different jobs. So you must know which Devata really you should contact. And you have got your own pujas to do to them. Understand itself. Then only your job will be done. Like that in our Shastra also, if you want something from the Devatas to get, that's why they say to please this Devata, do this puja. That's why you all know. If Ganesha has to bless you, what you should do, you know very well. What all things Ganesha likes, you know, particularly. That's why God also has got his likes. All favorite thing, you know, Ganesha means Modak you should give, and Durva only you should give, everything you know. And how many numbers, what you should give, so that Ganesha will be pleased and give me what I want. If it is Lord Krishna, we know what he likes. All likable things are said. Like even if you are to be pleased, somebody has to know what you like. And given to you, you are happy. The simple psychology because we are doing Vyavahara. So as long as we deal with God in Vyavahara, we want to get things, this is what is said in the Puranas everywhere. We should say these are all superstitious. It is no superstitious, understand itself. It has got a meaning, that's why it is all said there. And if you do, it is a sanction comes in its own way. Locally sanction comes in the form of some letter or something. Bhagavan's sanction comes in a different form. You get the thing done, you got it. Why? God bless me, you say finish there on the matter. That's all. This is how the whole thing goes in the life. Similarly, now we have got these functions. Since there is a Devata, as I told you last time, when you come to doctors will particularly treat, give medicine, everything they will do. I don't say no. That is one part. But our Shastra says, for all medicines there is a God, you must know. For all medicines there is a God, Devata. And the Devata too. One side if it is Vishnu, we call Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari is the Devata for all medicines as Vishnu. He is the one particularly. If you go to Lord Shiva, he is called Vaidyanataha. When you chant the Rudra, Shatarudri that is there, Ekadashi Rudra and all when you chant, there Lord Shiva is called Bishak. You know what is the Sanskrit? Bishak means doctor. He is called doctor. So So Lord Shiva is the original doctor, one doctor. And he is the Lord of all medicines. That is why those fellows put Vaidyanath. That Vaidyanath fellow is put particularly Lord Shiva's name. They have put Vaidyanath because in particularly further eastern side, one bar, one and the same. There is no difference. So what we call Vaidyanath, they call as Vaidyanath. So that particular Ayurvedic Vaidyanath is Lord Shiva's name. In Kerala if you go, all Ayurvedic preparations will be called as Dhanvantari. It is all Dhanvantari. Because all Vishnu based there. Here it is all Shiva based. Like that these two gods are referred always as gods, doctors, original doctors. From there only all other doctors are there. Understand itself. So who is the presiding deity for God? For all doctors is Lord Vishnu or Shiva particularly. That's why in the Vishnu Sahasranama it is said there particularly. So any type of problem that is there for the body, who is the God there in the Vishnu Sahasranama says, Vaidyo Narayano Harihi. The Vaidya is Narayana Hari. But only problem, the medicine they say we will not accept. Particularly, Jannavi Toyam they say. Particularly, Jannavi Toyam means Ganga water. Polluted water, how can it be medicine? We will say. Because in the paper so much comes Ganga is polluted. But you must know, Ganga's pollution, though we call so much, American scientists have proved Ganga is not polluted. Do you know that? It has come in the paper. They took samples of Ganga from different places and they tested it and said not a single bacteria is there in Ganga water. You can send it even if you want to go and get some Ganga and send it to local laboratory in India. No bacteria can live in Ganga water. This has been tested in Delhi also. They kept 3 tanks full of water. One is Ganga, another one is Yamuna, and the third one is ordinary water. And they put mosquitoes to breed. And they found in Ganga no mosquito breeds. Whereas Yamuna and other water, plenty of mosquito breeding is there. All these things are come in the local newspapers, understand it. So there is something special about Ganga. So that is in our Shastra it is said there, Ganga water is always pure. We can take it without any doubt. No doubt at all. There are so many sadhus in particularly Himalayas. They will drink only Ganga water. They will not drink any water. They will not boil it. They will not do anything except they keep it for just for sediments to just settle down. Today's water they will take 2 or 2 days after. Clean water they will just drink. Nothing happens. So what we have to say is that everywhere there is anything, but Ganga is something like that. So God is the original doctor. His medicine is what? Ganga. So this is said in the Shastra. If you have got faith, you can do that. But then if you don't have, at least take all medicines, no problem. But then since God is the Lord above everything, taking medicine, take the name of God and take it. That's all it is. Take the name of God and take the medicine. It will have an extra effect. That's all, nothing. It will have an extra effect. The medicine will cure you. So plus point for you plus the God also. Both goes. The medicines plus the God. Both goes together. Hence here the gods are being referred. They are called Devatas. So God absolute is Isvara. Absolute. When he expresses functionally, the God himself gets the status of Devata. Last time I told you all these things. That's why when you respect a policeman, you are not respecting the policeman. You are respecting the law. By respecting the law, you respect the government. When you respect the government, You respect the governor. And the absolute governor is called president. Like that, absolute person here, governor, is called Isvara. So any Devata you worship, you are absolutely, ultimately worshipping the God. Then why do you want to worship different gods? We worship only because we want some sanction from gods. As long as we want sanctions, we perform different puja. That is why we have got different types of puja for different days. That function, that is why our Hindu calendar has got so many types of functions and festivals. Why? Because we have got so many officers. Every officer has to be one day or the other, we have to pacify, please. And we are doing, because in life we are very practical. Practical means when your job is to be done, better respect whoever is to be respected. Thing is there in the matter. And get the job done. This is the idea. So that is why they are all doing that, and we are all doing so. Generally, why I am telling all this, because people think these are all superstitions. It is not superstition. It is very practical, Because we are people utilitarian, we want many things to be done, got things to be done. So in their vision they said, keep on doing all the things, all your jobs can be get done, things will be done for you. So they kept on doing that. That's all, nothing. Once we got away from there, we thought everything is superstition. That means for every control, there is a controller. Even today with all this, particularly science has so much advanced, I tell you. So many new gadgets have come. But even though you have got gadgets, you require somebody to turn the switch, is it or not? And you may say automatic, somebody has to set it automatic. So can you avoid this factor of the human? Somebody has to do something. Because the equipment itself is made by a human. Not equipment jump out like that. That's why every function requires some sort of a controller, starter, controller, stopper, everything is required. And that, keeping that only, those people starting, stopping, doing everything, that is what is referred in our Shastra called Devata. And this Devata is referred now from the standpoint of the function in the body, and specifically here the inner equipments, anta karanam. So now he says Manaso Devata Chandramaha. Understand itself in the Purusha Sukta, is particularly it is said there, if you see. Manasas Chandrama, particularly Chandramo Jata Manasaha. Particularly from the mind of the Absolute Lord, moon was born. That means God is the absolute controller of moon, but the moon becomes the controller of the mind. Seems to be something related. Now when I say, you will all understand. Because you know, when people have got hysterical problems or mental problems, it seems to be having some sort of a connection with the mind. Such people, when it is Paurnima, they bloom. Completely top they become. You have seen, no? Seems to be some sort of a connection. Whether it is Paurnima or Amavasya, that people become full. But gradually they all become peaceful. Again start. So when our Shastra says the mind and the moon seems to be having some sort of a relationship. And that is why in America, such people have got mental problem. They have got a phrase for that, Mooni, they call them. They call all such people Mooni people. We say moon is a Devata, but I don't know how they got that phrase there. Americans also say mentally deranged people, they are called as Mooni. So seems to be not only in our country, there also seems to be something. So mind being moony, the moon is the thing, and accordingly you will find they have got a connection and they will have a lot of pujas and so many things related to that. How to pacify moon. For moon to be pacified, there are different pujas and so many things to be done. All those things are there, they will do that. When people have got mental problem, they do all that. Indirectly, moon seems to be the controller of the mind. We must know that. Buddhehe Brahma. For the Buddhi, the Devata that is there is called Brahmaji. Because where is creativity available? Any sort of creativity is at the level of the Buddhi. And who is Brahma? Brahma is the original creator. And all creativities are at whose hand? At the level of Brahma. So this small creativity, for that the Devata is who? Absolute creator, Brahmaji. So he becomes the Devata for the Buddhi. Ahankarasya Rudra. This Ahankara generally translated as Aham Karomi. I do. The Bhavana, the thing. Called Ahankara, ego. Generally we say. That means you should have an individuality to do. The one who gives you the capacity and the strength and the power, everything, is called Lord Shiva, called Rudra. Rudra is a manifestation of Lord. Lord Shiva has got two forms. One form is when he is absolutely very active, powerful, we call him Rudra. When he is very calm and peaceful, he is called Shankara or Shiva. Shiva and Shankara are called peace, absolutely auspicious form of Lord. When he comes completely angry, very active and other things, he is called as Rudra. So our buddhi cannot be docile. Our buddhi has to be very active. For the active buddhi, the Lord in the form of Rudra is the Devata. So that is very much essential. So Ahankarasya Rudra. And Chittasya Vasudeva. Here Chittam means called memory power. Chitta means memory. For this memory, the Devata is called Vasudeva, Lord Vishnu. He is called the Devata for that. So if your memory is not properly functioning, pray to Lord Vishnu. And you will get particularly memory power, everything that is there, you can get it. So thus we have got all the deities, they are all each one controlling all these things. With this, we complete the section of the 8 Isvara and Adhishtana Devata. Item 8, we have completed that. We had gone back from there, having discussed Isvara, we went back from there. Now we come to item 9. So in item 7, finally when we said there in the last one, Evam Pinda Brahmandayoho Aikyam Sambhutam. There was one statement made there. That means in the manner we discussed, we found an identity. Aikyam means identical, identity between Pinda. Pinda means the physical individual body, the micro, and the Brahmanda, the macro. Between them we found an identity, oneness. We discussed at that time. In short, to say what? The Isvara, who is considered to be the Brahmanda, the total, and the individual called Jiva. So Jiva and Isvara seems to be identical. They are one and the same. Why? From the basis we discussed earlier, it has been told. Now this, whatever statement was made, that itself is going to be made more clear in the following section that is being told here now. What if Isvara and the Jiva, they are one and the same. Why two terminologies as Isvara, Jiva? And what brings about these differences? All these things are being discussed to make things clear, so that if you want to know, if Isvara means he is also because of a factor, Jiva means that is also because of a factor. The absolute freedom is to be free from both factors. To go to that only, this discussion is being taken. Now we read item 9. Sthula Sharirabhimani Jiva Namakam Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati Sayeva Jivaha Prakritya Swasmadishwaram Bhinnatvena Janati Avidyopadhisan Atma Jiva Ityuchyate Mayopathisan Ishvara Ityuchyate Evam Upadhi Bhedat Jiveshvara Veda Drishtihi Yavat Paryantam Tishtati Tavat Paryantam Janma Maranati Rupa Samsaro Na Nivartate Tasmat Karanat Na Jiva Ishvarayoho Veda Buddhihi Svikarya. The last one, Tasmat Karana Na. There are double Na is there. You have to separate. Tasmat Karanat, then say Na. Understand? That's why the negation is being told there. Okay, now we come to the topic. Now this section is telling what brings about the status of a Jiva, what brings about the status of Isvara. In the Isvara as well as Jiva, there is a common factor. Though there is a common factor, what brings about this totally different total status, what brings about? That is what is being told here for us to understand. So what is being told? Sthula Sharira Abhimani, called Jiva Namakam. Namakam means one who is always referred by the name called Jiva. The one who is referred by Jiva Namakam is one who is Abhimani. Abhimani, who always identifies and looks upon oneself to be the Sthula Sharira, means the entire complex, the body. That means a Jiva in short is one who looks upon oneself to be exactly to be nothing but the body. I told you before, we don't say I am body. We never use the word I am body. You can argue, we never say I am body. But then you don't say in so many words I am body, but all your statements prove only your body. To say I am human means what? Body or something else? Your body only, because animals have got body. That's why to distinguish from animals only we have to say we are human. So even when we say human, indirectly we refer ourselves from what standpoint? From the standpoint of the body. Then you go further to say I am male or female. Again from what standpoint? from the standpoint of the body only. Then I am tall or I am short. From what standpoint? Body. I am fair or I am dark. I am fat or I am lean. Again, body standpoint. I am healthy or unhealthy. Again, body standpoint. I am hungry, I am thirsty. Again, body standpoint. That means, don't we identify closely ourselves with the body or not? We should not think our Shastra is exaggerating. We are not telling all these things. And this method of equating oneself to be the body or bodily conditions which are always applied, attributed to oneself, is what is referred by this particular statement, Sthula Sharira Abhimani. As a matter of fact, when we say Sthula Shariram, it is not simple Sthula Shariram, even identify with the Sukshma Shariram also. When you say I am agitated, you are identified with what? With the mind. I am restless. I am anxious. I am worried. Where are we? We are at the level of the mind. I am always. I am very intelligent. I am bright. You have gone to the buddhi. Like that, every time we refer from one standpoint or the other. Understand? Since we place the I, the self, in all these places, when you equate and view from that standpoint, the self, the Atma, gets the limited status called Jiva iti Nama. Jiva Namaka means Jiva Nama. The name called Jiva comes when Sthula Sharira Abhimanatvat. Okay. Now this Sthula Sharira Abhimani, the Abhimanam means the identification, the thinking is always where? At the level of the buddhi and the mind together. Is it or not? All our thinking is either at the level of the mind or buddhi. And when does this thinking happen? That is what is being told. Because we have seen earlier, this body, gross aspect of the body, is a product of 5 elements. The 5 elements by themselves, they are all what? Inert. They are not sentient. They are all inert. But this body at present enjoys sentiency. Otherwise called life it has got. Now why this body is sentient? Why it has got life? Why it is there? For that purpose we have to say, because there is some factor which always contributes sentiency to the body. And this factor because of which the body gets the sentiency, there are 2 factors. One factor is the absolute sentiency called Atma. The other factor that is required for the sentiency to manifest is what we have called as the Sukshma Shariram, subtle body, which is nothing but mind, intellect, all this Antakaranam plus the prana, so many things we have seen earlier. Because the Sukshma Shariram is subtle aspect, their consciousness reflects, otherwise called gets manifested. And when that Sukshma Shariram manifests in this body and present, this body also becomes conscious, sentient, enlivened. There is feeling, so many things are there. And at that time only the body, in the body, the mind, the thinking happens, and the thinking is, I am body, I am man, I am woman, I am this, I am that. So many sort of thing goes on. And that is why when the end period called death take place, we have seen before, what departs? When we say life departs and we say the breathing stops, all these expressions are there. We have seen before, what factor departs from here? The Sukshma Shariram departs. The moment the Sukshma Shariram departs, you find this body becomes just a particular dead matter. It proves what I am. I am insentient, I am inert, absolutely. That means the Atma to manifest in this body, it cannot directly manifest. It needs a medium, a conducting medium. And the conducting medium for this consciousness, which we call as Atma, is called the Sukshma Shariram. That means here one fact we have to understand. In our vision of our Shastra, Atma is all pervading, everywhere available. This place also Atma is there, here also Atma is there. Even where the table is there, there is Atma. Everywhere Atma is there. But if the Atma has to manifest in the sentient form and has to be used, it needs a proper conduction. Then what will happen is, it becomes a life force, and when that life force gets united to a body like this, this body becomes enlivened, starts functioning. We can give two examples. First popular example I given before, again I am coming back because the topic is here. It is just like electricity. If you go to engineering, they will tell you electricity is all over, static electricity is available everywhere. That is when there is particularly clouds formed, there is one lightning. How did the lightning come? Positive, negative combined, lightning comes. That's why whenever there is short circuit, what comes? Spark comes. The same principle. Who gave the connection there? Nobody. Things are being told, understand it. So electricity has got its own place all over. But if this electricity has to become useful, that's why in water there is electricity, in coal there is electricity, we find from so many sources you can always generate electricity. But merely generating electricity is not sufficient. The generated electricity, if it has to become useful for the human being, you should have proper conduction. And this conduction is what you call from the powerhouses, so many transformers, so many things are done, and the power is brought into so many wires that you are seeing all over the place. Though there is current in that power in the wire, all these wires have got current. But do you see the current anywhere? You don't see the current. But if this current has to be seen, you have to connect it to something like a bulb. That's why the fellow brings a testing light and puts it, it starts burning. And says there is current. That's why when somebody is totally unconscious or lying there, doctor has to come and say whether the current is there or not. That's why they see the pulse and say, yes, life is there. That's the current. Why? Because the pulse is still beating. The current is there. For ordinary person it looks, gaya, lagta hai. Understand it, sir? That is why any function has to take place. There is something which makes it to function. But to make it to function, any equipment, you have to bring it properly. For that only wires and so many things are required. When you connect it and give electricity manifested, fan, light, so many things, it is a manifested form of electricity. But for this to manifest, how much work has been done? How much of conduction has been done? from where all electricity is coming. So much work has gone, I tell you. But it doesn't mean that electricity was not there before all the things were done. Electricity was ever available. Electricity is naturally available. In the water, if there is electricity, who provided there? That it is naturally available. Everywhere it is there. But if you wanted to use it, naturally you have to conduct it. The conduction is done physically, manually by all of us we do. We are only drawing an example. How even is this? That means you are got in, when you see science and all, you would have learned much more than me. You know there are good conductors of electricity, there are bad conductors of electricity. And if at all you want to conduct electricity, you must know favorable conductors, not unfavorable conductors. Similarly, if Atma has to conduct itself and become the life force, it requires a proper favorable conducting medium. And that medium in our Shastra we refer as Sukshma Shariram. That means what we should all understand is Atma is spread all over. Everywhere there is Atma. But Atma, if you want to feel, know the presence of it, it has to be conducted. So Atma is conducted not only in this body, you must know, in all creatures, wherever you see life pulsating, in all of them who is manifest there? Atma is manifest. First thing. Then we go to other functions that is going on. In our Shastra, if wind is blowing, it reveals the presence of Atma. If rain is falling, it shows the presence of Atma. If sun is shining, it shows the presence of Atma. If you say planets are all moving, it is because of Atma. If the earth is revolving, it is because of Atma. If plants are growing, because of Atma. Like that you can keep on going into any sort of cosmic activities going on. Let it be anything science may say. But for that to happen, behind that what is there? There is Atma. So in the cosmos totally, if you want to see, Atma's presence can be inferred from the functions that is constantly going on. Now another way we will go. That means what we said, Atma is manifest everywhere. But if Atma has to be visibly seen as a function or a medium for functioning, it should have a conducting, manifesting medium. Another way, let us say, now sunlight is when sun is shining, there is bright light. Now if there is a room which is dark, you take a mirror outside, you will find in the mirror that sunlight gets reflected. This reflection of the light, that means the mirror by itself has got no light, but it has got the capacity to reflect the light. Now when you take this light and direct it, you can illumine a whole room. That means there are two lights. One is the original sunlight, the second one is the reflected light. For this reflection to happen, the necessity of the reflecting medium called mirror. You require mirror or any surface which is totally polished, which is reflecting, it can reflect the light. We don't deny that. That is why, what is the difference? This body is also matter. In this, the Atma as consciousness doesn't get reflected directly because it is gross. That's why we use the word gross. Compared to that, Mirror is very polished surface. But this surface, here even if sunlight comes, it will not get reflected. Why? Because it is gross. It is very gross. So, but if the same wall is completely polished and it starts shining, you will find the light will start reflecting. So here the subtlety is in the form of the polished surface. Here it is the subtle aspect of the element. This is a comparison we should always have. Similarly, we saw wires and metals and all. When they were conditioned, electricity can conduct, but other things are not conductibility. Electricity doesn't get conducted. So that means one light is the original sunlight. This is called reflection in the mirror. This reflection is what is said as pratibimba. What we call reflection is called pratibimba. So here sunlight reflected and the reflected light illumines another place, makes it element. If you take fire, you take fire. Fire is available everywhere. Not only matchstick. Olden days they struck two stones, fire came. In olden days in our Shastra, even to wood if you particularly rub, fire is to come. Though fire burns wood, in the wood itself there is fire, that's a forest fire. How does forest fire come? Two trees just rub and they got friction, fire starts. So in the wood also there is fire. In water of course there is fire, you know. That's why electricity comes. In electricity what is there? There is fire. Now coal, we use coal to bring light there, from there itself electricity is coming. There again there is fire in it. That means fire is all pervading everywhere. Even in Mother Earth there is fire. From there only volcano starts. From there only hot springs are there. Where did the fire, who put the particularly fuel for all these things? If you go to Badrinath and see that hot spring, so hot it is, to make it so hot, the amount of fuel that will be required, and that is 365 days it is going on. I don't know where we will find the fuel for it, we don't know. But it is, you cannot put your hand there, I tell you. It is so. And if you go to particularly Jamunotri, it is just boiling water just coming. Boiling water. You cannot put your hand, it will whole blisters will come there. So much hot it is. So now, and one side is ice, another side is so hot. Now who gives so much of heat there? From where the thing? That's why Mother Earth has got. That is why they got the place Jwalamukhi. The Jwalamukhi place, I tell you, from Mother Earth, fire is just shooting all the time. Fire is just shooting. That means fire is all over there. That doesn't mean when I want particularly coffee, you cannot keep anywhere and just coffee comes, it will not. That's why for our sake, we have to conduct fire. For that purpose only we have got gas or chula, so many things you require. So now what you do? First of all, in any place, matches or anything, you conduct this fire. Then you light the gas or a charcoal. From this gas or charcoal, you again give it to the vessel. When the vessel is heated, water gets heated. Now when water gets heated, you want cooking, you put rice, rice gets heated and cooked, or vegetable gets. This is called conduction, transportation from one place to another. Similar is the case here also. Atma is everywhere. First of all, Atma has to get conducted in the Sukshma Shariram. When the Sukshma Shariram gets associated with this body becomes again conscious element. That means the Atma which is manifest in this particular Sukshma Shariram, wherever the Sukshma Shariram, there is two consciousness. One is the absolute conscious, another one the reflected conscious. The reflected conscious depends on the absolute one. The absolute doesn't depend on the reflected. Like sunlight is original, but the mirror light depends on sunlight. But wherever the mirror is, there is sunlight, plus there is a reflected light as though. There seems to be two. Is it or not? Similarly, all over there is consciousness, and this consciousness itself gets reflected in the mind or the Sukshma Shariram, and it comes into this body. The moment it comes into the body, there start the brain and so many things are there, starts function. What is the function? Thinking function. So many functions start. Then the thinking start. I am body. And the moment the thinking starts, the Atma, though it is reflected there, it is converted to what? Jiva. So that means how does the Atma become the Jiva now? It is not by anything, only by a thought. The simple thinking that makes you a Jiva. That is in short you have to understand. That's why what is the freedom from this Jiva Bhavam? What is Jiva Bhavam? The status of being a Jiva. To get confused and make or look upon oneself to be the body. And whenever we use the word Jiva, it is equated as mortal. Jiva means mortal. And which we don't want, is it or not? But can you avoid as long as being the body? Can we avoid? We don't want, but we cannot avoid. Why? Because if you are body, its nature is one day or the other to perish. And that is why we have got a desire not to perish. Why? We will discuss later. Because our innate realities, they are not perishable. That's why we cannot accept what is not our reality. What is foreign to us, we cannot accept. The body politics tells, you all know. Any foreign matter enters the body, what does the body do? It has got its own inbuilt mechanism of resistance. It starts fighting it, all these things you say. That is why even the mind cannot accept, the thinking cannot accept what is not real, it is foreign. And the foreign is the thinking that I am a mortal, I cannot accept. Similarly, I am a person suffering miserable, I cannot accept. That's why we want to get out of miserable condition and to become happy. Why? Because my real nature is to be ever happy. These are all the things we must know always. So thus our reality is to be Atma. But when this particular reflection takes place in the mind, which mind it is, we must go back. A mind where the confusion ever exists. And in that mind reflection comes, everything will come what? Same. That's why when you go to sleep, you have went to sleep with all sorts of thinking. Next day morning what starts? Same thinking only starts, not new thinking will start. Why? I went with thinking, I get up with the same thinking. Otherwise, I need not do anything. I go to bed, next day I come informed, a lot of knowledge comes. Not going to college or anything is required. Sleep and you get knowledge. You never get it. Sometimes you sleep and forget, I tell you. But nothing new seems to come. So at least maximum what comes is what you have went with the thought thinking, that only comes. Hence, we don't ask the question when it started. This is what everybody would like to know. Our Shastra says it is a cyclic thing that is constantly going on. Nobody knows when it started. We know it is present. So it must have started when, let us not bother. But then we are only trying to find a remedy. That's all, nothing else. So it has been there and it is repeating. In such a mind, when this consciousness reflects, the same old thinking continues. And the continuation thinking is that I am body, I am body, I am body. And the moment the person starts thinking I am body, that person gets the status called Jiva. This is what is said here now. That means the Atma is everywhere. So there is total Atma available plus the reflected Atma. And the reflected Atma is always associated with the mind, and the mind being associated with the body, that's why they are together. The mind is also conscious, the buddhi is conscious, the entire body becomes conscious. That is why any part of the body you touch, everywhere what is there? Consciousness, sentiency. All places it is available. Because one instrument is all over, that is called sense of touch. Sense of touch and feeling is all over the body. Eyes are only here, ears are only here, but the sense of touch is all over. And wherever the sense of touch is there, there is consciousness is permeated, it is all over spread there. So consciousness, generally there will be a statement say, Nakha Shikha Paryantam. From here the toe onwards, you touch here also, you are there. Pull one hair, only one tip. Are you there or not? You will find one hand moves, you start feeling. Because there is sense of touch available, there is consciousness. Once the hair is out of your head, there is no feeling. Finished, there is the matter. So thus the consciousness is pervading all over the body, but the body, to get this consciousness, the medium is Sukshma Shariram. So what is it now? So Brahma Pratibhimbam Bhavati. Brahman means what now? I told you, the total consciousness is referred by the word Brahma. We have seen earlier, when the consciousness becomes reflected in the mind, it gets the status called Atma. Earlier we have discussed particularly. But then here, what gets reflected? Not Atma gets reflected. The total consciousness called Brahma is reflected where? In the mind, intellect, equipment, Sukshma Shariram. Then the thought starts, that is called as Jiva. Now further he tells our autobiography. What is that? Sayeva Jivaha. Sayeva Jivaha means what? In this buddhi, the thinking that is there, the same thought process, prakritya, by nature, naturally. So swabhavikam, by nature, by birth, is called prakritya, means even by birth. Not anybody has to teach, understand itself. Even without being taught. That is what is called prakritya, naturally. Prakritya. Ishwaram. Ishwaram, the Lord. Swasmat, from oneself. Bhinnatvena, as someone totally different. Alak, vegla. In this manner, janati, looks upon, understands. Means what? Shastra would like to say, every individual who comes with the body, and if they are in a particularly that which is called a culture where they accept God, it is not be religion, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Hinduism, let it be particularly Islam, let it be anywhere. Anywhere you ask them, they will never say I and God are one. Everybody says what? That's why even that fellow puts the up and high, Allah, he says upstairs. Even particularly, you say Christianity looks up and, oh Lord in the heaven, they say. We also say, Lord, we look up the heaven. Anybody, they say God is there, never here. And of course, I am not the God. That everybody knows. That means what Shastra says, that God and I are different. We don't need a philosophy for that. This is indirectly you should know, Dvaita need not be a philosophy. Why? Dvaitam means there is always Vedam. Duality means what? There are two. What is the two factor? Isvara and Jiva. And wherever there is duality means the one that is I am, something else is different from me. Basically the difference is, Dvaita philosophy says, you are different, Bhagavan is different. Should they come and tell us? Even before they are telling what we know, that I am not God, I know very well. You need not come and tell me. If at all you have to come and tell me I am God. At least something new you are talking. That I am not God, even before you tell me, I know. That's why somebody else tells you something. No, you need not tell me, I know before itself. You say that. Similarly, that I am different from God, Shastra says Prakritya. By nature, by birth, they know that I am not God. God and me are totally different, is very well known to people. And as long as this bhavana, this outlook, this thinking is there, you are called as Jiva. Indirectly, what is the definition of a Jiva? Two things. One is one who always looks upon oneself to be the body. And because of that consequence of that itself, the person says that God is someone other than me. God is different from me. That means wherever Jivatvam is there the clear understanding will be that I and God are two different entities. We can never be one and the same. So why this is being talked? Because earlier we were told that this Isvara and Jiva are identical. So here itself, when we say that, how this particular difference is there, that is the reason is being told here. That means the factor between Isvara and Jiva, there is one common factor, but there are two other distinct different factors. And this factor only gives rises quite particularly for the status of a Jiva and Isvara. And that is what is being told here. That means there is a manifestation in the Atma, in the body, and when we view only from the manifested form, we will call it as always Jiva. That's called reflected consciousness. When the consciousness gets reflected, the reflected aspect associated with the reflecting medium makes it to be Jiva. So reflection is no problem. What is the problem? The thinking is the problem. So if at all a correction is required is what? Always to understand there is reflection, but I am not the reflection. But who am I? I am the original. Though when you see a photograph, this is our problem, understand itself. When you see a photograph, this photograph is who? Generally you don't say I am the photograph. Do you say I am the photograph? You will say this is my photograph. But though it is your photograph, are you the photograph? You are not the photograph. Why? Because without me there is no photograph. But I can be without the photograph. Similarly, the reflection has to be there, means the original has to be there. The original can be without reflection, but reflection cannot be without the original. So the conditions of the reflection doesn't affect the original. Whatever may happen to your photograph, will you get affected by that? No. A photograph may become moth-eaten, but still nothing eats your face. Photograph only is gone. Nothing has happened to you. Like that, anything may happen to the reflection, but the original never gets affected by that. We should clearly understand that. Now continuing, he says, Avidyopadissan Atma Jiva iti uchyate. Now what he wants to say now particularly, the Brahman itself is straightaway referred as Atma. Understand itself particularly. So he doesn't make a difference between Atma and Brahma. In reality, both are one and the same. That being the case, Means Atma means the awareness, the consciousness. He says now, Avidya Upadhi San. Here there is a new word called Upadhi. Upadhi is what I told you called reflecting medium, conducting medium. Is what is referred in our Shastra Upadhi. This Upadhi is a particular thing we should clearly understand. An Upadhi is that which always gives its quality to something else and takes some other quality to itself. This is what is generally called as Upadhi. A simple example, if at all you want to give, is particularly called an iron ball. You take an iron ball. Now what is the nature of the iron ball? It has got a shape, particularly a spherical, a particular shape, circular shape it has got. Second thing is it is very heavy. Third thing is cold to touch. Three things it has got. Now take this iron ball and put it in fire. After some time, the iron ball totally takes the fire nature to itself and starts glowing and becomes hot. But it gives its quality to the fire called the ball shape. Not the particular weight also it will have, as well as the shape, but not cold. It has become hot. That means it makes what? It makes fire ball. No more it is iron ball. This is what is called Upadhi. By this what has happened? The fire which doesn't have a given shape, it has become a shapely fire, by which it has got a limitation. It has got a weight also, it has got a shape also, and whereas the iron which is totally an inert thing, it has started become glowing. That means here the iron becomes an upadhi for fire, by which the fire gets as though a limited entity called a shape. This is called conditioning. It is called conditioning. Who is conditioned now? Fire is conditioned to the shape of a ball. But is it really conditioned? As long as fire and iron are associated, the conditioning as though comes to fire. Now remove the iron ball from the fire. After some time, fire comes back to its original state. Iron comes to the original state. It has got no fire glowing. It becomes cold to touch after some time, not immediately. And the fire is still fire. It has lost its conditioning. So if the conditioning is absolutely real, fire cannot become free from the conditioning. So even when fire and iron are united, is there a conditioning for fire? It is not. But if a person doesn't know, he will never say it is iron ball, he will call it as a fire ball. But if you know I have put the iron inside, it is a red hot iron ball, you will say. You will never say it is a fire ball. But a person who doesn't know, he will straight away say it is a fire ball. That is what is happening to all of us. That is why Atma has got no shape. Atma doesn't do any function. This Atma, when it is associated with this body or the mind or anything, they are all inert. They all become sentient, glowing. So that means the body not only takes the quality of Atma, but it throws all its quality on particularly the Atma, by which we mistake the Atma to be the body and the body to be sentient. But the problem is not that it should not be, let it be there, but understand sentiency belongs to Atma. But Atma is free from this shape and qualities, everything. Nothing belongs to Atma. The moment you understand, in spite of remaining in this body, you are free from all these limitations. But if you don't understand, in spite of being free, all attribution takes place. I am small, I am like this, I am like that. Hence the body is considered as upadhi. The mind and everything is considered as upadhi. This is called sthula upadhi. The mind, everything is called sukshma upadhi. Both limits. That's why we put conditioning of the mind, all conditions of mind, we put to Atma. Atma gets limited. A restless free Atma becomes restless. An anxiety free Atma becomes anxious. That means even when there is anxiety, is there anxiety for Atma? Anxiety belongs to whom? Mind. So this is how we become free. Understand? This is called moksha. The moksha is not literally what anxiety should go. Anxiety going is different kind of moksha. That way anxiety goes but comes back. Is it or not? That the moksha is only temporarily. When I go to sleep, there is no anxiety. When I wake up, all anxiety rises. This type of moksha is not a moksha. But real moksha is what? Even when anxiety is there in the mind, it doesn't belong to me, the Atma. This is what we must know. And the moment you understand, I, the Atma, has got no anxiety, anxiety will automatically go. But the constantly you think, I have got anxiety, anxiety becomes more only. So this method of equating the Atma with body, mind, everything gives rise to Jiva. That's why he says, when Atma gets reflected in the individual upadhi called avidya. Here avidya should be taken as what? Karana shariram. Understand itself now. We have seen earlier Karana shariram. The Karana shariram itself is individual upadhi. And this avidya is where we saw, it is always at the level of the buddhi. Every ignorance remains where? At the level of intellect only is ignorance. So that ignorance is always there along with the sukshma shariram. And because of the ignorance only, it gives rise to this sukshma shariram. And the sukshma shariram, in that gets reflected this Atma Brahma. And that is what is called Jiva. That means whenever we say sukshma shariram, the sukshma shariram has got avidya. Avidya means an ignorance about oneself. Not mere ignorance, at the same time originally thinking that I am the body, I am like this, that thinking also, both combined together, it is called Jiva Upadhi. This is called individual Upadhi. Now what is Isvara? How does it come? That is being told here. Maya Upadhi San Isvara iti uchyate. To get the status of Isvara, the upadhi is called total upadhi. Total is called Maya, individual is called avidya. And when it is Maya, when we refer, what is absent in the Maya? This avidya called our ignorance and confusion is absent. That means same Brahma gets reflected in a clean mirror. The Jiva mirror is little dirtied and sullied mirror. When the reflection is a sullied mirror, the reflection will be not so bright. But if it is a clean mirror, the reflection becomes very bright. So that is why Maya is the Upadhi, means where there is no avidya, there is no confusion. That is why Isvara never thinks, I am the body. Isvara always knows, I am Atma. That is why what happens? He wields the power of Maya. He uses the power of Maya. He controls the power of Maya. Uses the power of Maya. Whereas what is our condition? Maya uses all of us. We are under the spell of Maya. It is just like a magician and the audience. When you go for a magic show of Sarkar, what happens to you? He mesmerizes you all the time, showing varieties of things. And you are spellbound because you are under the spell of the magic. And whatever he does there looks absolutely real for you. Whereas even when he is doing everything, he knows what? There is nothing happening, but it make it appear as though many things are happening. That's why Sarkar wields the power of magic. That is called magician. Whereas we are under the spell of the magic. That's why Jiva is under the spell of Bhagavan's magic. And that is why we think Bhagavan is different, that is different, this is different, I am like this, I am like that. But Bhagavan, though enjoys the body, he doesn't have any confusion. He knows I am what I am. That he has got no problem. So this is what is said here particularly. So balance we will have to see next class. There is more. It is now. So we will see the further discussion on it later. So two upadhis, two differences have been pointed out. Now connection is there. We will see what is the thing and we will proceed. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhaveet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.